with standing. Real simple. Just start to feel your body. You can just start by moving some of your limbs. Go ahead and swing the arms. I like to just start nice and easy. Easy movements. So just twisting the spine, letting the arms gently fall to either side. I'm going to mute my music. So go ahead and just really express and let go of any expectations. You know, if you need to let out a big sigh, you can take a few deep breaths. And just let out whatever you might be feeling. And let's also, while we're here, really work on our mobility first, just to open the chest. So if you want to take some nice big arm circles, backwards and forwards, make sure to breathe with the movements. Just warming up the arms, the shoulders. And now finding your grounding. Taking a nice, comfortable stance. Might be wider than your hips, but it could be a little wider. You want to just feel nice and stable here. What we're going to do is inhale to reach the arms up. And as we exhale, we're just going to throw the arms down and swing them back to kind of help release on the exhale. Just letting go and trying to kind of push out kind of extra energy, any extra tension. It's already kind of here. I like to call this the throw down. You just throwing it all down. All of it. Just get it all out. One more time. And we'll find our way back to center. So finding our way back into mountain pose, we're going to find our feet right underneath the hips. And if you can feel the toes kind of gripping into your mat or into the floor, and then also lifting up through the arches of the feet to help support the inside of your legs. So pressing down through the sides of the feet, lifting up through the arches, lifting up through the kneecaps. The pelvic floor lifts up, and we also are lifting the heart, the navel. So this is full extended mountain. We feel this dynamic tension as we ground down through the feet and lift up through the fingertips. So notice that my shoulders are not way up here next to my ears, but they are down in their space. So making sure as well that we are releasing any tension as we exhale and really grounding down into our bodies. Feeling the feet grounding. And on our next exhale, take a big, deep inhale, lifting up through the heart. And I'm going to actually show you, my hands are going to be clasped like with my pointer finger together. And I'm just going to lift my hands up as high as I can while pressing those shoulders down so that I really feel the heart space lifting up out of the lower back. And then as we exhale, we're going to hinge at the hips, let the arms fall out to the sides, and come down into a forward fold. Go ahead and just relax the neck, relax the knees. If you need to, you can sway from side to side. Now, if your hands are reaching the floor here, go ahead and press one hand or fingertips into the floor. If you have a block, you can elevate the hand, or using a chair even would help. But we're just going to start to open out to the side, beginning to twist the torso, stacking the shoulders, and then exhaling to alternate. So about 3 to 5 times on each side here, going with your own pace, your own breath. There's no rush here. Feel free to bend the opposite knee as you twist the spine open so that you can make space for that torso to twist. Feeling that heart expand each inhale. And just with the exhale, releasing any tension, letting go of any self-judgment, letting go of any criticism, worries. And we'll slowly bring it back to center. From here in our forward fold, you might like to just nod your head forward and back for a moment. Feel the upper trapezius, these shoulder muscles, just feel those kind of relax as you turn the head. And then we'll slowly roll up to standing. We can place the hands on the knees. And just roll back up to a standing position here. You might like to take a nice shoulder roll just to reset the spine. But we're going to step let's start with our left foot. Stepping that left foot out to warrior 2. So the left foot reaches towards 90 degrees. And notice on my right foot, I am still grounding down into the sides of my feet here. And I am lifting up through the arch of that back foot. So we reach the arms out and we are lifting the heart up again through the lower back, lifting up through the pelvic floor, lifting up through the navel to support the heart over the hips. And we do sort of feel this wide hip opening. If you feel the breath shorten, just come up out of that bend. Take a deep breath and maybe move back down. But hold here and breathe in warrior 2, about 2 to 3 deep breaths. Feeling that breath flow all the way into the lungs. Letting the shoulders drop down. We're going to begin to straighten this left leg and tilt the hips towards the back foot, or the back ankle. And then just slowly lower down into triangle pose. Now here we can have a block as well if you want to elevate the hand. The top arm can rest at the hip if that's more comfortable. But we're focusing on turning that heart towards the ceiling and straightening that left knee. Breathe, softening the legs, softening and releasing the muscles, releasing that tension. And then we'll slowly come back up and then heel toe the feet a little closer together. So just coming into a nice, easy stance. And then sinking the hips low into chair, we're going to bring our hands either to the heart center, or you can have your hands out forward. Sometimes people like to have their hands overhead, so depending on what you like. But the key thing here is to lengthen through the spine. So notice how my back could be arched. I could be reaching my back and arching my spine, or I could tuck the tailbone and then lengthen the spine through that lower back. Just notice what you feel as you adjust. But hopefully the weight is going to be in the heels and those toes will be able to lift up off the mat if you need to. And on our next exhale, go ahead and take a deep breath in. And as we exhale, fold forward back to the forward fold. Bending the knees, taking a few deep breaths here. Go ahead and nod your head. Breathing into those shoulder muscles. And then we're going to slowly just roll back up to standing. And then facing the front, or facing your screen again. This time stepping the right foot out for warrior 2. Just warming up these big muscle groups first. Checking in with that left foot. This time pressing into the sides of that left foot and lifting up through the arch, while also externally rotating the hips open so that you can really feel that stability in the lower legs, in the lower half of your body. Breathe here, feeling the pelvic floor lift up to support the spine, supporting the navel, supporting the heart. And again, if you need to, if the breath gets shorter, go ahead and just come up a little bit. Take a deep breath. Just accepting where we're at today. We're all going through a lot of changes right now, so it's perfectly fine to feel overwhelmed. Let's go ahead and start to straighten this right knee, tilting the hips towards the back ankle. And just taking a nice triangle pose on this side. Again, top arm can come down to the hips. Allowing the collarbone to smile towards the ceiling. And as we slowly begin to come back up, as if there was a rope that could pull you back up, we're going to come back to center. And this time, instead of moving to chair, we're just going to deepen and kind of warm up those glutes and the hips stretch a little bit more. So moving into sunflowers and moonflowers. Taking a nice wide stance, toes are pointing outward. And we're just going to inhale to reach the arms up, hinging at the hips, slowly exhale and come into a nice wide squat. The arms can sweep down, or you can bring the elbows in towards the ribs and really engage the core. Just really allowing the breath to flow through you here, allowing your body to get the energy flowing and leaving your body if possible. We're working through a lot of energy right now in our physical bodies, in our mental, emotional bodies. So let's take a few more times here, maybe 2 more of our sunflowers and moonflowers. And we'll come actually down into a low squat here. If you want to, you can place the hands on the knees to deepen your hip stretch a little bit more. But make sure those knees are going out to the sides and not bending forward over the feet. Just, if you can, just stretching out the hips. If you need to, go ahead and come up. And you can always come into a forward fold if you need it. Actually, we are going to meet back into a forward fold. So why don't we come out of our squat and come back to center. So this time we're going to come back into chair. So preparing for our chair stance again, I'll turn to my side. And I'll just mention as well, I have my feet a little wider, but if you want more challenge with chair, you can always bring the toes together. And that way you're actually focusing more on really balancing and that core strength. But if you have the feet wider, obviously it's a little more stable. So be aware that you can adjust your feet depending on what you need in chair. So again, hands either at the heart, we can have our hands out forward. But noticing the length of the spine, whether we're tucking that tailbone or arching the back. And let's exhale and come to a forward fold here. Bending the knees, pedal one foot at a time. Relax those muscles. And then if you'd like to, you can even add a gorilla pose here. You have your fingers close to your toes. You can hold on to your big toe, or you can also just hold on to the ankles. But the idea is to try to pull the heart even further down. So notice how I'm lengthening from the heart space to really help lengthen the spine forward and down. We're holding on to the toes. Those elbows just bend directly to the sides. And the crown of the head does reach down towards the mat. Just feeling this heart space really expand and lengthen over the legs. It's okay to bend the knees here if you really need to. It's really more about the back right now. And we'll slowly begin to roll back up to standing. You need to take a drink, get some water. All right, so moving into some of our balance poses. So starting with just a simple quad stretch, you can hold on to the ankle of one foot and use the other hand to just help stabilize and balance you. But this lift, the bent knee should be pointing directly down towards the floor. And just kind of breathing into that quad, into that knee joint. Stretching out the knees for a moment. And coming back. Other side here. So here's where we're going to use our strap. If you have a strap, go ahead and release that quad stretch. And if you have a strap or a belt, it works just as well, or maybe a scarf. You could probably even use like a dog leash. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have my strap wrapped around my foot. I'm going to start with my right foot. And essentially I'm just going to hold onto the strap with the opposite arm and then slowly begin to hopefully twist the torso as I lift this leg to parallel with the floor. So essentially we're trying to lift and then twist at the same time. This is an option if we're not quite ready to hold that leg all the way up. You can just have one hand on the hip and lower the leg. Always just accepting where your body's at any given moment, listening to what your body needs. If we are in the full balance pose with the leg lifted, notice how this rounded leg, I have a micro bend in that knee that I can make adjustments. And I'm also lifting up through the pelvic floor, through the navel, and through the chest to help stabilize the core. So we can lower that leg back down. We'll come back to center here and just kind of add a little bit deeper twist. Coming back into our chair. And then twisting the same way we just twisted, okay? I'm going to twist towards my right. And then either bringing that elbow down to the knee or opening the arm and just twisting here, twisting chair. So there's two options. Arms could be open like I have here. Or if you can get down deep into your chair, you can put your elbow on the outside of that knee. But make sure that your knees are not going out to the side. They are stacked right over your feet. So breathe here, and we'll come back to center and just bring it to a forward fold. And take a deep breath in and lift it to a half lift. Hands come to the shins or to the sides, and the back is 90 degrees. Just lifting up, extending that heart forward, and we'll exhale back down. The second time, we're going to lift up and reach the hands out behind, directly back into airplane position. So we feel the shoulder blades squeeze together, and we'll exhale back down. Why don't we place our hands on our knees and roll back up to standing. Turn back to the front. If you want to, you can take a few shoulder rolls. Neck tilts. But we're going to start going to the other side. So getting their strap ready if you have a strap. And I didn't mention this, but if you don't have a strap, you can also just hold on to the toe with your hand. If you can reach that arm out, you can also just hold on to the big toe and reach by holding it here. But it depends on, obviously that lower back flexibility, hamstring flexibility. So using a strap is perfectly fine. Again, we are pulling up through that pelvic floor. Kind of just feels like, almost like you have to hold pee, but lifting up through the pelvic floor to help support the navel and then the heart. And the arch of the foot. So we have that foot lock as well. And we'll slowly lower that leg back down. Getting ready for twisting chair on the other side. So again, feet stance could be close together. You could have them farther apart. You might even just try it different on one side just to feel what it feels like. One side could always be different than the other. So whatever works for you. And like I said, you can either extend the arms or you can get that elbow down to the knee. Breathe. Feel that tension just squeeze out of your muscles. And then we'll exhale, come back to a forward fold. So if you're not already facing the long side of your mat, turn to where you can get into downward facing dog. We have our hands planted on the mat. You can just step the feet back to downward facing dog. Take a second and take a few deep breaths, widening the shoulders, letting that heart drop a little bit lower, bending the knees if you need to. Widening the fingertips. And the last thing we're going to do before we move to our floor stretches is just our hamstring stretch that I always like to try to add in. So if you want to, go ahead and just lower the knees here. We're going to come to a kneeling position. And just stepping one foot forward, 90-degree angle here. And then starting to shift the weight forward so that this knee will be directly over the heel and the other knee is behind the hip. Now you might not be able to really push the hips down as far as I am, but that's okay. You can still just focus on your breath and just focus on how far you can go today. All you really need to do. So we can inhale, come forward, sinking that hip flexor, his hips even lower, and then exhaling to go back. You can also raise or lower that toe. And then just step back to downward dog. We're just going to step back up to that knee and step back to downward dog. And then switch to the other side, stepping the other foot forward. So again, deeply breathing in as you move forward. And then exhaling fully as you move back. And so we only have a few minutes left, so we're going to skip a couple of the poses I had. That's okay. I never know exactly how long it's going to take me. So we're just going to skip to butterfly after this. So finding a comfortable way to sit down on your mat and just come into an easy butterfly. Feet come together here in the center. And if you want to, just maybe roll gently from side to side, kind of massage the glutes a little bit. You might like to just do a big circle one way and then the other way. All right, so let's go ahead and lower down to our back. The last few stretches we're going to do. So just finding your way, gently rolling down one vertebrae at a time. And we'll just begin by placing our hands on the hips. Notice the spine softening and relaxing into the mat. And then on your next exhale, just allow both knees to turn and fall to one side. Head turns the other way. And it doesn't have to be forced. Just allow the body, allow the spine to sort of twist. And then coming back to center, you're turning the head the other way and allowing the knees to fall in the opposite direction. So then slowly we can bring it back to center. And if you want to, you can either take your Shavasana and as a full Shavasana, extending both legs down, and letting the arms just relax open. Or you can also just leave the feet planted and let the knees sort of bend in, resting on each other. Or even a third option, if you really liked some of the hip openers that we did, you can even come into clean butterfly, placing the soles of the feet together and opening the knees to relax. To just allow that sacral chakra to be open and flowing. And just whatever you notice coming up as you're relaxing and completing your practice today. Notice whatever's coming up, whatever thoughts or emotions, memories, concerns, anything that's coming up for you, just accept it as part of who you are without needing to do anything special. Just accepting that this is the life that you've chosen, the life that you are experiencing. And just let go of anything maybe that you don't understand, allowing that to just leave. Leave your mind, leave your body, releasing what is not meant to be understood. And you might even feel a need to, make a noise or make a sound, sigh, laugh, cry, whatever it is. Just allow yourself whatever you need to express. And then if we're in clean pigeon, just gently lifting the knees back to center. And then we can roll up to a seated position. And we'll come back to center, and I will just thank everyone for being here and taking the time out of your day to care about your mental health and your well-being. Thank you so much. name is Lindsay, for those who don't know me, and I am a UAB UFit instructor. And I hope you'll have a wonderful day. Thanks for being part of Mindful Yoga. Thanks. Namaste.